Alright, hey, what's up? CAC just finished. I just finished watching the finals, the grand finale, right? Against Falcons versus Legacy, and 8 grand finals in a row. Mondesi has lost eight in a row. It's so crazy. I figured, this is easy. Falcons got this in the bag, right? Like, the player quality should be too high. I was like, maybe Legacy make it interesting. They make it 3-1, but they lost. They lost this grand final, and everybody said this tournament was free. Your biggest opponents were Mongols and Mouse, and they lost. So I just want to break it down. I just want to talk about it because it's such a wild result. Honestly, good for Legacy. Legacy is a team I've rated for a while. Lotto and Dumao, right? I think they performed, but let's just get into it. It's a wild tournament for Falcons to lose, and they are never living this down. So we'll go from last place to first place. Energy, they go out last place. Not really surprising, in my opinion. I'm pretty sure, yeah, they get Legacy in their opening best of one. Grim plays well. Nitro plays well, but the rest didn't. Um, Not really surprising. Legacy are a team that I think has just better individual talent than NRG, even though I think Grim is decent. Um, I still think like Legacy just have more individual talent in Dumao and Lotto combined. So, and on top of that, I think Nissim is pretty good as well. So, and then they get Mouse, and they're actually almost they make this game interesting, but they couldn't get over the line again. Energy's biggest story is mostly the fact that they just don't have the individual talent to match up against with the top dogs, right? I think the calling is decent from Nitro, but I think the thing is that when you don't have the individual talent that Nitro was once used to in like 2019 Liquid, it's hard to call the simple style of CS he likes to call when you just don't have the pieces for it, right? So Energy going out last place, not really surprised. I don't think they'll do anything at the major. We might see them go through the first stage, but after this tournament, not really surprised by where they're going to be, and I expect them to go 2-3 at stage one or stage two, right? I think they're stage one. But yeah, they go out last place. Nothing to really talk about. 3D Max, same thing. 3D Max, they disappoint. I wouldn't say it's that disappointing. I think losing the Liquid is disappointing because I think 3D Max have a much more coherent identity than Liquid. But first match they get against MIBR. I think MIBR is like one of the most individually talented squads, and if you get them in a BO1, you can just lose because you can step on a landmine and just lose. Because this team has two of the best pistol players in the world in Insani and Klim. They're both unbelievable pistol players, and the riflers like Venom Zera, Insani. I think Insani really showed it at this tournament. Insani, Venom Zera, Klim, he's an opper, but he can rifle very well. And then Brennison, if those guys are on form, they can go toe to toe and take you or take maps from you just off individual talent alone, not based off the calling or anything. So 3D Max losing to that, not really surprised. Like I think MMBR had 11-1 lead on this Anubis. It didn't even look close. Masuda was the only one really firing back. Cosmetic comeback, really. And then they get Liquid, and Liquid, I think because of how terrible Liquid is and how much of a mess they are, it looks close, but it's not really that close. In the end, it's a messy game for Liquid to get it over the line, but arguably, in my opinion, 3D Max probably should have had it. I think on Inferno, 3D Max, I actually rate them more because I think they have a deeper strat book, more ideas, better coherent identity than Liquid. Liquid's biggest problem, as I've said in my last video, was that they don't have an identity. They don't have a coherent, coherent identity that they can all play around. And I think that's the biggest problem with Liquid. And the fact that 3 Max loses to Liquid, who in my opinion are not even a good team. Sure, Nath played very well in this series, as well as Shubi and Malbs, but it was not it's just not a good look in my opinion. So 3D Max, another disappointing result. BC game, they were a mess in Atlanta. They're a mess here. Nothing really changed. They lose the opening BO1 to Falcons. It was rather close. Electronic was playing out of his mind. It didn't even matter. Crazy had an awful series. They lost. I'm pretty sure Electronic gets like a 3K, gets it into a 3v2, and then they proceed to throw the last round, and Falcons uh, close out the series, which was so sad for Electronic because Electronic played really well in that series. And then versus Pain, it looks like they were just outclassed. It looked like Pain's chaotic Brazilian style caught them off guard completely. Electronic played worse. Senzu was decent, right? Senzu had a lot of high impact moments. Simple had like an insane deagle round where he hits like 5 dinks. He gets like 5 deagle headshots once through a wall and wins the round for them single-handedly on an eco on Anubis, but even that wasn't enough to get them over the line. I think this team needs an actual captain, right? I don't think Scrunk is an actual captain. Scrunk is an IGL, but he's not a captain. I think they need somebody who is a strong voice within the team that just can tell them, hey, we're going to play this way, right? Right? Like, not necessarily, like, tell them what to do, but just, like, be, like, a presence within the team. I don't think they have that right now. Nip, disappointing in my eyes. Nip was a team I thought were going to make a dark horse run at this tournament, and then they got last place. They lose debate. I watched this game. They actually had a lot of chances. Shush in the first pistol round won a 1v5 with a Glock. I'm pretty sure it's his first, or 1v5 with a Glock, his first ever 1v5, I think, in his career. And then I'm pretty sure who got, oh, that, and then X Casper Sky, when they threw a fake on B, X Casper Sky got a ace by himself, right? He was playing completely by himself on B on T side, gets an ace by himself. They still don't convert this game somehow, even though they have 2 players acing, right? And then in this Lin Vision game, super sloppy. Dust 2 pick doesn't work. Dust 2 picked by Lin Vision. They just beat them very convincingly. Nuke, Lin Vision plays some super sloppy CS, but it doesn't matter. Nip, because they're a well-oiled nuke team. They take the map, and then Ancient never looked like they stood a chance. They were getting dominated by Call Me Sue, Amelia. They were just beating them on every mid fight. It just didn't look like they had a chance in that game. So disappointing tournament result for Nip. X Casper Sky had one of his worst tournaments. I think he had a .88 rating, right? 0.78. I'm pretty sure if we go to kills per round and everything, it's probably pretty low. This is one of the very few tournaments I've seen Casper have a very tough time at, which is a bit sad because Casper is like one of my favorite players to watch right now. For such a young talent, for such a young Polish player, right? We haven't had many exciting Polish players in quite a while, and he's definitely one of the few to keep an eye out on, right? But yeah, disappointing tournament result from Nip. I expected them to do more. M80, I don't really know how to rate their tournament run because they beat Pain in the opening. They then lose the Falcons, kind of expected, but they played them semi-close. Right, on both maps. Both maps, they were actually close. They had positions to win, but individual brilliance from Falcons just pushed them over the line time and time again. I think on Inferno in particular, it was really close. And then they go out to Mouse. I think that M80 showed more at this tournament than they did in Atlanta, but I'm still not sold. Like being dominated by Mouse back to back on basically like on both map. Like the only map they won, I'm pretty sure, was their map pick of Inferno, right? No, it was Mouse's map pick. Mouse's map pick of Inferno. It's the only map they win. Overpass they get smashed. Mirage they get smashed. Nobody really performed at this tournament across the board. Like in general, everybody was just whatever. I think Swisher was the most consistent from what it looks like. Yeah, he was the most consistent, but again, this team, I think individual level wise, I don't think they have the juice to actually compete with these top dogs. And then I think on top of that, I think this team is just, I don't know, they're stuck in a rut since picking up JBA. Just nothing has changed with this team. Like the expectations have, if anything, have gone down. The results have gotten worse. So I don't know what you can do with this team right now. Like Scrunk, or not Scrunk, Slacks has been a little quieter than what he was last year in the second half. So I don't know what you can do with M80. I think they're going to have to make an op change probably eventually. I think JBA, they'll probably stick with him and try and let him develop. But I think removing Hex from the squad has really hurt them. So yeah, better than last tournament, but not by much. Liquid, still another disappointing tournament result. Again, I don't think this team is going to change my opinion on them until they actually make a roster change. I think this team is going to be disappointing for quite a while. Opening match, they lose to Paravision. Jane plays really well. Elige was awful. Elige was fragging worse than Flashy. By the way, Flashy was standing in this opening map, right? Because Mobs had visa issues. So Flashy stands in on the first map. Jame, dominates them. Looks like Liquid had chances in the thing, but the Elites just didn't show up at all. 3D Max game, super close. Naf and Shui had to Omega carry them through this series. Elite showed up towards the tail end of Inferno. I think Inferno was the one map where he actually had a decent time. See? But Dust 2, poor. Nuke, poor, right? Just not convincing enough for me, especially because it's Elite, right? Elite is a player who knows how to play the game. The fact that you're even getting close against 3D Max, who in my opinion have worse player quality than you. I rate Masuda. I think Mach is decent. I think Gravity is not good. Lucky is solid, right? But Exorcist is, he's whatever. But the fact that you're even getting close when you have the tenure and experience and the amount of winning that this team has. All these players have won something besides Ultimate, right? And then Mongols, this series was more close, but I think that's more of a result of Mongols playing poor than it is Liquid playing well. I think Ultimate did life game in a few of these maps. I'm pretty sure on Nuke, Ultimate was having a lot of impact. So, again, I don't believe in Liquid until they make a roster change. In my opinion, you have to change coach, IGL, and op, or you have to change minimum 2 of those things, right? So coach, IGL, op, you have to change minimum of those 2 things. If you want to keep Shui, get Ash and change the op. If you don't, change the IGL and change the op. JT and Try, they're available from Passion UA. You can pick them up. So, yeah, I'm not sold on Liquid. Another disappointing result. Vision, I don't rate this team. I think they play fun Counter-Strike. I think they're sometimes fun to watch because they're so chaotic and so messy, and their style is wild and stupid almost, but it's not good Counter-Strike. When I watched a lot of these games, they were super sloppy. Even in this NIP one, sometimes they have moments of brilliance, but I think in general, they don't know how to play post plant at all. This team is so reliant on individual ability to bail them out of lost rounds, right? And when they have advantages, they just throw them, right? I've saw so many thrown post plants, especially on this Nuke game against Nip, that it was they probably do deserve to lose, but didn't matter. Individuals show up. Against Paravision, they just lose because they're bad fundamentally, and Paravision is a team known for having solid fundamentals for the most part, not in the players, but in the calling. So James can exploit that and abuse that. So yeah, taking your 1 win against Nip, I think that's decent for Vision, but Vision, not a team I really rate. Tyloo, bit of it kind of sucks because they started strong. They beat Mouse in their opening match, where all of the players played well, right? It's a BO1, I understand, but a lot of the players didn't even show up. Zershin, their best player on average, didn't even show up. Then they go against Legacy. It's close, but they lose. And then they go to the lower semis, and they lose to Pain with VSM and Snow playing rather well. And Jem Young didn't even really particularly have a good series. Tyloo, I wouldn't even say it's disappointing. I feel like Tyloo are kind of an upset team. They're a team when they're given chances at tournaments, they're actually able to make upsets happen and able to sometimes test the big dogs or test the tier 1.5 teams and see how strong they are because they do have the individuals. I think Jam Young, I think he's an incredible rifler. I think he has the potential to be a top 15 rifler, top 10 rifler. When if the calling was better and he was set up more, right? Because I think he has the individual mechanical ability to be that, right? He's very good. Zero has shown a lot of promise as this young Chinese player who's coming up in the ranks and kind of developing in these tournaments, right? Mosiah I think is fairly solid, and G I think for an opper is reliable, right? Um, but I think Tyloo, I think this is an okay result. I know they would have wanted more, and I think they could have done more, but I think this is okay. Moving on to the next team, Pain. Pain 7th, 8th. I mean, Pain so far have continued decent results. Again, making 6th place at IM in Atlanta or quarterfinals, and here just making it 1 match shy of quarterfinals. I think that's not too bad. The loss of Pain in their opening BO1, with Period Jr. being the only one who played well. VSM played awfully. Then against BC Game, it looked like they were just they kind of outclassed BC Game in terms of communication. Their chaotic style kind of just overwhelmed BC Game, a team without much structure already. So they didn't know how to play. And kind of VSM had some incredible moments, right? With I think on Anubis, he gets almost 3 kills with a USP on a full eco round and just wins it for them single-handedly. And then on against Tyloo, I didn't really watch this series, but if I'm being honest, I didn't really pay attention to this series in particular. But I think VSM is showing like more as an individual. I think VSM is starting to step it up a bit more from just based off the ratings. I've watched this one. VSM had a lot of impact here. I didn't watch this one as much. And then against Mouse, they lose. Zelix plays out of his mind. I watched this one. This was like pretty one-sided stomp. What didn't even look like Payne really had a chance. They kept going for outside plays, but they kept running into Zershin, and Zershin was just shutting them down completely outside. So I'm pretty sure it was their pick too. So it just looked bad. It was a really rough series. But Payne, decent results, I think, through and through. Paravision, again, still disappointing in my opinion. I think winning against Liquid, fine. Losing against MIBR, less fine because I think MIBR. Okay, here's my opinion. I know Insani played insane uh, in this series because he had an insane like ancient. I'm pretty sure no, his bait ancient was better, but and MIBR is a team I've already said that is kind of a landmine because they have so much individual talent, which Paravision doesn't have a lot of individual talent, but good calling. Um, and But even then, you're losing to a team that hasn't played in a lot of Tier 1 tournaments, doesn't have a lot of LAN experience, right? At least in the Tier 1 realm, right? This is like a Tier 1.5 tournament, but even then, I would still say losing to a team of like this is already a pretty big red sign or red flag. Then against LinVision, you beat them because you're more fundamentally solid than LinVision. LinVision throw a lot of post plants, throw a lot of man up situations where they have the advantage. And then you lose to Mongols. Mongols, they have the better individuals, so I'm not really surprised. Jane played very well, but everybody else basically sold this Mirage. I'm pretty sure they had a massive lead and they threw it. It was a completely sold map. Like they had this map in the bag after Mongols actually kind of fumbled, but they then just gave it up and Mongols come back and they win. So another disappointing tournament for Paravision. The fall off continues to happen. Bait, I think Bait played well. I think this is I think Bait making top six here is fairly a fairly good result. Considering the field, I think some of the field is better than them individually, but I think Bait is still a good team. They're still a team I like to watch, and they're still a team I think that can uh, make good results, right? So they beat NIP in their opening matchup. MPL plays incredible. I think in particular, MPL had a good tournament. This has to be like one of MPL's best tournaments, I think, this year. We can check rather quickly. Hold on. So checking 2026, yeah, 1.19. So it's one of his best outside of a tier 2 tournament. 0.8. Yeah, like, I mean, these stats are just great, right? Across the board. So in the first match, he plays incredible. I'm pretty sure he won multiple clutches. He was just having a lot of impact, a lot of multi-kill rounds. Then against Mongols, they beat. I watched this live. This game was very fun. MPL again played out of his mind. I think on this ancient. No, it wasn't this map. It was another map. But he played very well in this series in general. MPL um, standing up as like the star of the team because he is the star. Against MIBR, I just think have better individual talent, especially if Insani is going to drop this little number against you on Ancient. 3.28. I'm pretty sure it is the highest rated map in an MVP event, MVP tier event in HLTV history, which is insane. Plus 21 round swing. He felt unstoppable on the T side. Like he was just going middle. Him and LNZ were just dominating middle. Like they could not take middle against him any rounds. Every time they did, Insani would get two. Like it didn't matter. Like it was incredible what Insani was able to put up. So yeah, when that happens, I don't think you're ever coming back in on it on Ancient, right? I'm pretty sure they go to the quarterfinals against Mouse and Overpass. They had chances, but it felt like they fumbled a lot. I think Sizzy kind of played bad on Overpass. No, he didn't play too bad on Overpass. He played okay on Overpass. He got caught off by some things. I think JL came out of like Con one round and just killed him when he was in Divider. He just gets caught off like when it's the only spot he has to watch. The only thing he has to watch is Con, and he didn't watch Con. And then JL comes up and just kills him with an AK. And on Ancient, he was kind of missing. But Kenzie Sore and MPL had a great Ancient. I think in general, Kenzie Sore and MPL did their job in this series despite losing. I think the thing we saw was individual player talents or player quality is just higher on Mouse, which makes sense. I think Alex had some good moments. I think in general most of the players played well, but I want to highlight NPL because I think NPL did everything he should have done at this tournament. I think in terms of pistols, he was super impactful in pistols. A lot of multi-kills, especially on CT side. I felt like he was so good on CT side when it comes to clutching and retaking and all these things. So I just want to highlight NPL. But I think Bait, solid tournament. Mongols, a lot of people are going to say this is a disappointing tournament, but I think in hindsight, when you look at a lot of these results, like when you consider that quarterfinals they lost to Legacy, the eventual champions, I don't think it's actually that bad of a result. I think they played fairly well throughout most of the tournament. 910 continuing up his incredible form so far. I think losing to Bait is a bit of a question mark because, in my opinion, Bait do have worse player quality. Um, but if MPL is going to play this well, it's kind of hard to be like, well, should you be winning? Um, you know, so excuse me, Jesus. Um, but I think Mongols played pretty okay at this tournament. I think they shouldn't have lost to Bait if they're truly going to be like a top 8 team at the major. I don't think you can lose to Bait. Beating Liquid, this Liquid series seems a lot closer, but I think it's because Ultimate Life games and Liege had some good moments. Shui was really rough. Um, and against Paravision beating them, like good that you make the comeback on Mirage, but the fact that Mirage is like one of your home maps and you're almost losing to Paravision, a team not known for player quality, is a bit of a damning. It's not damning, but it's a bit questionable. It's like, well, how strong really are you? I think going to quarters and losing the Legacy. To be fair, Lotto was probably MVP of this tournament, so I can't really flame them. Like Lotto had some incredible moments. Pretty sure he won a 1v3 against them on Nuke. It was like this. A lot of people were talking about it's one of his best clutches, right? Lotto played incredible. Like Lotto was a one-man army this tournament, so I can't really fault the Mongols too much. But I think 910 and Mazzino have been fairly good. I think Cobra Zero wasn't bad either. We can just check very quickly. Um, if we're going through, where is the Mongolian flag? Okay, hold on. Hold on. Teams, I'm getting lost because I'm like staring at too much data and my eyes are tired. So yeah, 910, great tournament. Cobra Zero, like this is decent. He's not the star that Senzu was, but this is good, right? And then Mazzino as your anchor third star, this is good. Blitz, fragging wise, has fallen off as well as Techno, but Techno's never been necessarily a great fragger. So I can't really give them too much grief, I guess. I think Mongols, okay tournament result, but I think they could have done better. MIBR, I'm very proud of MIBR. They made the Dark Horse run that I kind of expected them to make. MIBR is a team that I love watching because they have so much talent, so much individual talent and firepower in the squad that they're so fun. Klim is a player that I rate extremely highly. Um, he had a 1.06 at this tournament, but I think when you consider some of the matches, I think he played pretty well. And Insani was incredible. Insani would have been MVP if they made it to the finals, in my opinion. He was just so dominant at this tournament. This is one of the maybe the best I've ever seen Insani play. And Insani's already an incredible player. So in my opinion, a lot of people are saying save Insani. I don't think you have to save Insani anymore. I think he has a decent team around him. Are they going to be title contenders? Probably not, but they can be playoff contenders, like playoff challengers, right? And I think that's good enough. So beating 3D Max in their opening, beating Paravision just because they have better talent, and then beating Bait, especially that Ancient. That Ancient was so dominant from Insani. It was incredible to watch. It was so much fun. I was like jumping up in my chair every time Insani did something insane. So yeah. And then they lose to Legacy, and Legacy are the eventual champions. Dumal and Sadazin, like all of them showed up, and Sonny was really the only one that showed up. Again, first time in a arena setting for most of the players besides Insani and LNZ. I think Insani and LNZ, oh, and Brennison are the three that have played in arena. LNZ back in Stockholm PGL or PGL Stockholm, and Brennison and Insani in PGL Astana last year. So I'm not going to really judge him too much, but I think Insani played incredible at this tournament, and I'd keep an eye out for him at the major. I think MIBR are going to make an impressive run. I think they'll make it maybe to stage 3 just based off individual firepower, but we'll have to see, right? It's all up to how Klim and Venom Zera continue to perform, as well as Brennison, right? Those guys add a lot of fragging to the squad. And I think I saw some good things. I saw some good sets, good bits of calling out of LNZ this tournament. The next team is Mouse. Mouse won the third place decider against MIBR. I didn't talk about it because I don't really care. It's third place decider or a decider. Most people don't really care. Um, but yeah, Mouse I think had an okay tournament, but I will continue to say this. I'm still not sold on Mouse. I don't like their calling style. I still think having Zershin do numbers like these are just absurd. I don't think this is realistic. I think Spinks had a much better tournament this event, but even then, I still don't think it's enough to convince me that this squad will be consistent. On top of that, JL's loan has just ended, right? If you go to HLTV News, yeah, JL loan ends. Goodbye for now, right? So I would say this is not realistic. You will not see Zershin dropping numbers like these, like almost 1.0 KPR, 27.4% multi-kill, like damage per round. Like it's just absurd. Like these are not IGLing numbers, no matter how much you want to put it. And if those are your IGL's numbers, that means he's calling around himself a lot, right? He's calling around himself a lot. So I'm still not sold on Zershan as an IGL, but I am sold on Zelix. I saw a lot of good things from Zelix's tournament. It looks like he really took PGL Astana's like experience and has brought it to this tournament and has done even better. In most of the series, he was one of their top performers on T side. I feel like on T side, he did a lot of good work in terms of getting the openers and doing his job. He had a lot of impactful rounds, right? It seems like on CT side he had more KPR despite having worse rolls, which is kind of surprising. But that means he's holding his bomb sites more, right? But on T side, 25%, 41. That's much better than last tournament. I think last tournament he was 30%. He was like 25 and like 30% opening success. But I think this tournament he felt like he was getting the openers a bit more, and I think that's good. Um, Still don't like that he's being used as a CT side anchor. I don't think he's designed for those roles. In my opinion, put him in the star roles, he would perform pretty well. But I think on T side, I'm fine with him having the map control spots. I wouldn't like him to be entering as much as he does. I'd rather him play some clutches and late rounds because I think he's really good in those moments. But they don't. They want to make Zershin the playmaker. They want Spinks to have his spots, and that's fine. It is what it is. But yeah, good tournament from Zelix, and I'm really proud to see like this player who I watched in Mouse NXT still performed in Tier 1, right? Tier 1.5. But yeah, Mouse, okay tournament, but I'm still not sold on them. Falcons, second place. So Falcons, I think, are... Falcons are a tough one, and I actually don't know how to like even talk about this team because this is the one tournament where I was like, Falcons have to win it, or you guys are kind of on fraud watch. And now I'm like, these guys are chokers. It runs deeper than Kerrigan. It runs deeper than Kiyosuke. Kerrigan and Kiyosuke, in my opinion, Kerrigan I don't think was choking in terms of calling. I think a lot of the calling was made up by the individuals. In particular, there was this one round on Mirage. Like on Nuke, I think they did super well. So they had this game on Nuke. The game was super close. They end up clawing it back, right? They make a comeback on Nuke. Like they were kind of had some iffy moments, but they make the comeback. Ancient, they had opportunities to close it, but whatever. But Mirage, it looked like they just crumbled. It looked like the mental had just gone. Oh yeah, Nico did miss a really important shot on Ancient, which might have tilted him throughout the rest of the series because Mirage, they made this. They won both pistols, but on the second pistol round on their T side, they decide to pop open a smoke with an HE and try and run through apps against a force buy when they have like a minute 30 on the clock, right? And so Nissan with a 5-7 just kills two guys and the round is over, right? The round is over, the bomb is down in apps. The CTs have it, like they can't push anymore, right? So it was a mess of a round. And then Dust 2, it just looked like it was over. Like Kiyosuke gave them so many opportunities to actually do things within the game. To do things within Dust 2, but it just didn't look like they could capitalize off of it. So in my opinion, Falcons have a choking problem, and it's not because of Kiyosuke. Kiyosuke, throughout this entire Grand Finals, played completely fine. In my opinion, throughout almost the entire tournament, Kiyosuke played fine. In my opinion, he would have been MVP for this team had they won it. He did, like, Kiyosuke no longer has a playoffs problem. He no longer has a choking problem. Um, Maybe it wasn't even a choking problem. Maybe it was just a lack of experience problem that he might have had. But it looks like Kerrigan has freed him up to play his style, and it seems like he's way more confident to go for the duels, and he wins a lot of the duels, and he gets the openers that he needs to for his team. So I think kyousuke, amazing tournament from him. Nico could have been MVP if he didn't choke so bad, because before this he was actually fine. But in these last three matches, or these maps in this series, he was awful. Ancient, he whiffs an easy shot on Lado that would have won them the round. They would have had no money. They would have had the advantage. It would have been like 11-10, and they could have closed out the series if they just won more gun round. Doesn't happen. He whiffs an easy shot. Lado kills him, and basically the map is gone. Mirage, a lot of questionable plays, just not able to connect the shots he needs to. Looks like he's in his own head. And then Dust 2, like the series is already over. kyousuke is doing what he can, but Tessis is individually fragging awfully. Kerrigan, notorious awful individual fragger. Monesi is missing some shots that he shouldn't be. So at this point, I think the series was almost done, but Nico could have been the MVP. And then Monesi, I think Monesi was good throughout most of this tournament. Besides this, the stats show much more reflective because he did have some good moments that gave them chances. But I think in general, these stats are kind of misleading, especially these two. This one, this one is fine because I think he performed extremely well. But I think Dust 2 and Mirage, Monesi just didn't perform up to snuff. For a player who should be one of the best players in the world. Like he went missing. Like he just didn't you didn't feel his impact in most rounds, right? He had some important op shots, but then he missed other easy op shots that you expect Monesi to hit. But I just want to shout out kyousuke. kyousuke played an incredible tournament, and he's no longer the choker on the team. He's no longer the problem. I don't even think Kerrigan's the problem on this team for choking wise. Now getting to Legacy. Legacy are a team that I thought could be scary if Lotto reclaims his form, and he definitely did. 1.29 across the tournament. This guy was a monster in terms of clutching on T side. He has insane clutch points per round. 0.08 is absurd. 75% one-on-one win percentage. Like, it was incredible. Amazing trading on T side. Always felt like he would get the trade that gets them into the bomb site, or that allows them to, like, he was super unique about his timings, right? So I remember on Mirage, like, they would sometimes push the palace smoke, right? Sometimes on T side they would push the palace smoke, like the first player, and the first player, if he dies, Lotto would get this very, like, he would choose a unique timing to where it's like when they just stop looking at the palace smoke to see if a second guy is going to walk through, and then he would go down under wood and then kill the guy ramp, right? That's holding him. So I think Lotto played incredible this tournament. In my opinion, he's the MVP. If it's not Insani, it's Lotto, 100%. I don't think they're giving it to Insani because he underperformed in the playoffs, but I think Lotto, incredible tournament. Him and Jumao, they are kind of the partner in crime. Jumao is doing more of the hard entering. Lotto is playing more of the late rounds and the clutching, right? I kind of compare Lotto to a bit of a Brazilian Frozen. He's kind of similar in that sense, but not quite. He's kind of a Swiss Army knife that does everything for the squad, but he's more of a closer. Jumao is more of this hard entry, bit of a chaotic factor that gets stuck into the action, gets stuck into the mud, right, and just throws hands. And I think having these two on this squad is making Legacy very scary, especially when Lotto and Jumao are both playing in this form. Um, so, in my opinion, Legacy are a very scary team, and I imagine they will do something rather impressive at the major. They might make playoffs this time. In Austin, they were one map away from beating Mouse and taking playoffs, so maybe they do it this time. Um, but yeah, incredible tournament from Legacy. I think they played so well. I didn't talk about a lot of their individual games because I feel like I've done that with most of the squads, and at this point, I've kind of talked about all the individual games I wanted to. Um, but yeah, that's just recapping the event rather quickly. I watched it. I watched most of it. I watched like 75%, 80% of it. 20% were games I just didn't care about, or I was at the gym and doing something else. But yeah, CS is in a very interesting state right now. I probably will make a video about I Am Cologne in the stage 1 because I think there are a lot of interesting teams in that stage, especially teams that I'm rather fond of because I watch tier 2, tier 1.5. There's more tier 2 stuff happening right now that I am currently missing. But yeah, this tournament was kind of wild. The fact that Falcons lost to Legacy in the finals, Legacy kind of reclaimed their title, right? I mean, I wouldn't say reclaim, but reestablish their title because they won CIC last year, right? So awesome tournament to watch. I think unexpected. But yeah, thank you for watching. Let me know.